Hey, how's it going? I wanted to share with you a quick gotcha that I ran into today trying to set up JSS for Sitecore 9.3. So typically what you would do if you're like me is you would go to Google and you would search for Sitecore JSS and you'd say, oh, okay, great, Sitecore headless development. Awesome, that's what I want. And then you arrive at this and you're like, ooh, version 19.0. Okay, well, I know I'm going to do JSS and there's a lot of stuff here, so maybe I'll just go to the JSS link. Okay? And then you're reading this stuff all here, and then somehow you luckily notice that there's a release link here, so maybe you click on that. And you're going to, okay, I don't know what release I should use. So maybe I need to figure out which release I need to use for my version of Sitecore. Okay, well, let me show you how you can do that. So if you go to dev.sitecore.net and you go to all downloads, and then you search for JavaScript, you'll find Sitecore JavaScript Services 15.0.1, which is not the latest that we saw on that other page. But if you go here, then you can scroll down and you can find your specific version of Sitecore. So let's say you want to do Sitecore development for version or JSS development for Sitecore 9.3. Well, this is the exact version you have to use of JSS. So what does this page give you? Well, it gives you the Sitecore packages that you would install in your Sitecore environment. This page does not give you the steps, the CLI commands that you would run on a command prompt to create your JSS file system, whether that's React or Angular or any of that. But there is a link here to take you to developer documentation. So let's see where that goes. Oh, it takes me back to where I was. Okay. Well, I guess I need to just poke around here. So maybe if I go here, and, developing, great. So developing JSS applications, CLI tools. Okay, great. Install the CLI tool. Okay, awesome. So I found how I'm going to install the CLI tool. Here's the gotcha. If you simply install the CLI tool, you are going to get the latest version of the CLI. You can actually install different versions of the CLI. So if we go to npmjs.org, and we search for Sitecore JSS CLI, we find it here. And if we go to versions, we have different versions of the CLI. So we saw a moment ago that we need to use JSS 13.00 if we're going to be developing JSS for Sitecore 9.3. So the closest match we have for the Sitecore JSS CLI is 13.2.2. So that's the version of the CLI that we need to use. Okay, so here's the command that you would use to install that version of the CLI. npm install at Sitecore JSS / Sitecore JSS CLI with that command. Here's the gotcha. If you install this version of the CLI, which I happen to have installed right now, and you then create a JSS app using this version of the CLI. So let's cd into that folder. Let's install this version of the CLI globally. So we're going to add a G here, which I already have it installed. But if you do that, now you can use the JSS create, and now you can specify a app name, my JSS app, and you can specify a flavor. So this is now going out to the Sitecore GitHub, and it's downloading a bunch of different things, and it's going to create my JSS app. So we'll give that a moment. And when that's done, then we will see what we end up with. Okay, so now we have a JSS app. I happen to have it here in my file system. If we go in here and we look at this file system, it looks pretty normal, but here's the gotcha. If you open the package.json file, Let me just resize the window. Okay. If you open the package.json file, ignore this version 19.0.2. That's not a major problem, but here's a major problem. We just used the CLI version 13.2.2, and it created a JSS app version 19.0.2 for us. We see references here to 19.0.2, 19.0.2. Here's a few more references to 19.0.2. And as of this recording, there is no way to specify the version of the app that you want with JSS Create. So what's the workaround for this? So the workaround that I have found is going to the Sitecore JSS GitHub repo, finding the version, the release that you need, which is release for our purposes, the purposes of this demo, it's release 13.0.0 for Sitecore 9.3. And then going back up to this folder, JSS samples React. And this is the folder that you need to clone. And in fact, you have to go back and clone this branch. This is what you're able to clone or download. Once you have this on your local, then you can go into samples and React. And then you can copy this folder. You can make a copy of this folder. And then all you would have to do after that is go into the package, not the package lock, sorry, the package.json file. You would go into the package.json file. Again, you'd probably want to rename this, but all you would have to do is change the name of the app and then replace any references to this placeholder name, JSS React app. Replace these references with the name of your app. So there's only 3 references there, and there's only one reference to that temporary name there, JSS sample React. But the reason why you have to do this is because this package.json file, along with the file system that comes with it, is properly configured to use the correct version of JSS for the version of Sitecore that you're developing for. So you can see here there are no references to 19.02. Instead, the references are to 13.2.2, which happens to just be the minor version of 13. If you follow these steps and you make a copy of this folder, when you run npm install in this folder, it will work fine. When you run JSS setup in this folder, that will work fine. When you run JSS deploy, that will work fine. Deploy config, I mean, and then deploy app, all of that will work fine. If you try to just use this app that we created by running the JSS create app command from the JSS CLI, even though we are running the CLI version, version 13.2.2, the CLI still only ever downloads, and we can actually see it right here. The CLI only ever downloads the very latest version of JSS from GitHub. You see there? It never references, it never asks you for the version, and it never infers the version from the version of the CLI. It just assumes that you're always wanting to create a JSS app on your local based on the latest version. So that's the pro dev tip for today. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.